Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to QBSN, the podcast, episode 3. Another great show today. We got Around the Mac, Bobcats Who Are Dogs. It's back.
Yes.
And then Breaking the Ice, Bobcat Weekend. We're going to talk about the 4 hockey games we had. But let's start off with Around the Mac.
Yes.
What do you got?
So I got men's basketball that I'm going to be talking about today around the Mac. And we're going to take a look back. It's a little bit older. I'm sure a couple people know about it already. But we're going to look at Quinnipiac's men's basketball today. And we're going to look at the preseason polls, the preseason rankings, all of that stuff today. We're going to be looking at that. So let's take a look here at the Mac's preseason poll. So we've got the Quinnipiac Bobcats coming in at number 1 for the second consecutive year. This is after the Bobcats have posted 2 back-to-back MAC championships. The Bobcats are looking to three-peat in the MAC conference. So for second straight year in a row, the Quinnipiac Bobcats are ranked number 1. They are followed by Siena, Sacred Heart, and Manhattan and Marist, and that's your top 5. And from there, it continues to go into some good teams, and we'll keep continuing to look back at these rankings around the MAC as the season goes on and rolls on, and how it plays out with your 2 studs, Monroe and Zimmerman, and so many more players on the Quinnipiac Bobcats. Speaking of Monroe, he got noticed as the Player of the Year and got a first team nod, and Zimmerman gets a nod on the second team all conference for the MAC. So that's something to keep in the back of your head and to continue to look at as the season goes on, and as we get started on November 3rd against St. John's.
Yeah. All right. So I focused on women's basketball. Now, the preseason coaches poll, they had Fairfield, well-deserved, at number 1. Quinnipiac coming in number 2. Mount St. Mary's, 3. Marist, 4. Siena, 5. So if we're going to talk Quinnipiac right now, I think their biggest threats this year, obviously Fairfield. You got Megan Anderson returning.
Yep.
The junior for Fairfield. And then Marist, who has historically done really well against Quinnipiac. So I think those 2 teams, they return a lot of people. They're still very strong. So for Quinnipiac to end up winning the MAC championship and get to where they want to go, that's going to be big. Those 2 teams, especially for them to beat. Now, preseason All-MAC first team, Megan Anderson, Janelle Brown, and Kate Lamorix, all from Fairfield, 2 juniors, and then Janelle Brown is a grad student. Then the other 2 on the first team, Anna Foley and Jackie Grisdale from Quinnipiac University. Love to see it. But an interesting All-MAC first team for women's basketball. Only 2 teams, only players from Fairfield and Quinnipiac on that list. So that was something I was kind of like, huh. But Fairfield, the number 1 team coming in, last year they had a 28-5 overall record, 19-1 in the MAC. Their 1 loss was to Quinnipiac.
Yep.
But then they beat Quinnipiac again in the MAC championship. Then in the NCAA tournament, they lost to Kansas, the 5th seed, which ended their season. Very successful season last year, not just in the MAC, but overall. And then, they come into this year with a lot returning, and, they didn't lose much. So a huge test for Quinnipiac if Quinnipiac wants to get where they want to go.
Yeah.
But that's it for Around the MAC for women's basketball. I think it's time to hop in to Bobcats Who Are Dogs.
We got our top dogs this weekend, where we are looking at some incredible performances.
People who have put up significant numbers and really contributed. Why don't you start us off?
I would love to start us off here. I think this one's pretty self-explanatory. I don't even need to go fully into detail here. She's been rolling for the past couple weeks. She's had insane goals, multiple goals, leads the team in scoring, if I'm not mistaken. Caitlin LaMarche.
She's got to lead. If she doesn't lead the team, yeah, no, she definitely.
This weekend, might as well call the Quinnipiac Bobcats the Quinnipiac LaMarches. I mean,
single-handedly beat the number 12 team in the country.
Quite unbelievable performances. You've got 2 hat tricks. One of them's a hat trick and one. First game, you score. First game is a 5-3 win. Who scored 4 of those goals? LaMarche. Next game, 4-2 win. Who scored 3 of those goals? LaMarche. Like, absolutely insane. And continuing just how she came off of Syracuse and lighting the lamp and starting that, getting that going, having them roll. And in the prior games against Providence, being there, being a presence. And that's just, I mean, it's continuous. It's honestly infectious, the way that she's starting to help this team and the way that the team is rallying around her, and everybody's rallying around this, and it's like, who else but her right now? You know what I mean? And there's so many good players on that team, and the fact that she's coming out here and scoring that many goals against a team like Northeastern,
right,
who in the past has had numerous successes.
I mean,
and
number 12
numerous
in the
players.
country.
I mean,
like,
it's not
a serious
It's
team.
not, going up against Syracuse and scoring 4 goals. It's going up against Northeastern, a hockey school that brings in kids, and that's top dog movement right there.
And I know there's been a lot of conversation around, like, what's their success going forward if LaMarche is the only one scoring.
But it doesn't matter.
What I would say to that is there are, 2 of your best players offensively are out in Barbariti and Law, and she's just stepping up and running with it.
Well, it's not to say, too, that these goals were unassisted. You know what I mean? It's not like she's just taking the puck up and going. You've got Fournette, you've got Lawrence, you've got Jarvis, Emerson Jarvis. I mean, like,
a lot of talent.
There's so
They're
much
stacked.
talent on this
They're
team,
absolutely
and looking at the back end too, you've got talent on the back end. You've got talent in net with Frank, and even when Frank's not in net, you've still got talent in the net. And defensively, you've got. I mean, this team. There's a reason why they're 8-0 right now.
Yeah. Well, that's a great segue because my top dog is Felicia Frank.
Oh,
sophomore goalie. I stole it from you.
Yeah.
Through 8 games, 2 shutouts, 11 goals allowed to 170 saves. That adds up to a 9.39.
It's still
save
just
percentage.
insane.
She is an absolute, like, I can't explain how much LaMarche has done for this team. She has done. She's matched it. She's matched it.
Yeah.
Because and 2 shutouts, right? She's not going games and games without, but she's managing each game.
100%.
She's doing what she needs to do, and a lot of people.
That's the consistency you look for in a goaltender.
Yes,
that is the consistency you look for.
Yeah, a lot of people, watch sports and they're focused on the offense. That's all the excitement and the hype. It is so much fun to watch Felicia Frank play. Like, she's just all over the place. It doesn't matter. You can try wraparound. You can try anything you want. She's left, right. Unbelievable. And, she's done an incredible job. She was a member of the 2022-23 Sweden U18 national team that got the silver medal at the World Championships and named the best goaltender in those World Championships. Yeah. And this Bobcat team as a whole, and we'll talk about them in Breaking the Ice, but you got players that have been in World Championships, been in the Olympics, like experience even in the youngsters and the sophomores and freshmen.
You have a lot of talent, and honestly, you have a lot of people and on that team that are really good. And Frank and LaMarche are just 2 of them who are outperforming and outperforming, the rest of the league.
But it's a team sport, and
100%.
They don't do what they've done without everybody else.
There's assists on every goal. You know what I mean? And I think that's definitely been a huge factor. And I mean, Frank just tracks the puck well, plays with poise, plays the game, plays goalie the right way.
Yeah. So I think that's another good segue. Let's hop into it. We got a lot to talk about. Bobcat Weekend, breaking the ice. both hockey teams, women's and men's, played a game Friday and played a game Saturday. All wins except an official tie.
Okay, it's a tie in regulation with a shootout win from Quinnipiac. Is how it goes down.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Friday women's hockey first. Number 7th in the country, the Bobcats, and 12th in the country, the Huskies. So
wondering where they're going to bump up to after this weekend's rankings.
I'm excited to see.
Yeah. So
first period, goal by Emerson Jarvis, puts them up 1-0.
Yep.
Second period, LaMarche steps up 2 goals. Northeastern put a goal in the back of the net. It was 3-1. And then I think one of the bigger marks of that second period was the 5-on-3 penalty kill that they got through. And again, like the ability from Felicia Frank to step up and make numerous saves, like 1, 2, 3 in a row, and she's on the money. So that was big. Third period, back-to-back power play goals from Northeastern.
Yeah.
I know, Quinnipiac was getting a little upset and frustrated at the calls. They didn't agree necessarily. Yep. So then they tie it up 3-3, and then LaMarche adds it with the hat trick with 3:30 left, and then she does it again.
Yep.
So they win 5-3. And then Saturday, the 4-2 win. I want not to say they dominated that one, but they managed it very well, and they were in control pretty much the whole time. My question for this team is, historically, they've done very well non-conference, and then they get into conference play, and they have like a drop-off. So I got to ask, is this the year with all this talent that changes, or is there something haunting this team and we're going to see it? Obviously, we can't answer truthfully because we got to wait for it to happen. But from your point of view, what do you think? Is it a plague that's haunting them, or is it something that it's a new year, this is a different team, and they can get it done?
So I think that going up against Yale, I don't think that the team's going to struggle too much. I think the way that the women's ice hockey team has been rolling and being consistent, I don't see that consistency stopping, especially with the way that this team bonds and the way that this team works and runs, and the mentality that I've seen throughout the season. Quite frankly, I can't see it changing too much.
And I think it's a different feel because they did well in years prior, but they're not manhandling top 12 teams in the country like they're doing this year.
No.
So I think that's a point where you can look and you say, that's a difference. And I can't see them being able to do that and then somehow falling apart when it gets to your conference. Even though they're conference games, these teams aren't necessarily better than the teams you've played or you've beaten handily.
Yes.
So now I know you want to talk about the men's hockey on Friday. Go ahead. It's a tie. I mean, it's
a tie,
it was a bad start.
But it's one of those things where you're sitting there as a fan and you're like, really?
Well, it was unexpected because the vibes.
Oh
are high.
yeah, vibes are high. You roll in, home opener, and then boom,
slapped in the face.
It's like, all right. As a fan, it's hard to be like, oh, what? I got to stay for 2 more periods, When sometimes you feel like it's already over. But the thing with hockey, it's so momentum based. It's never over. Yep. Hockey is never over. Time and time again, you learn that, and that's seen so easily in terms of right at the end, right? 4-2, right? 17-24 in the third. Groenwald nets one, right? Now you're back in this game, right? It's 3-4, right? You just need someone to light that lamp. You need someone to get that goal. What happens? Chaos in front of the net. Absolute chaos in front of the net. Puck squeaks out. Pass over to Wilmer. Bang. Goal.
Yeah.
Crowd goes crazy. I mean, ballistic.
Yeah, the place was rocking, man.
And, you know, obviously overtime goes through that. Then comes with a shootout. Disgusting goal. Absolutely gross goal. You know, and that's it, you know. Marinov does what he needs to do. And, you know, they win that in terms of standing, and that'll help in tiebreaker situation. So
yeah. So I think that, you know, I think the real dagger in that first period was it was 1-0 for most of the first period, but then the last 2 minutes kind of felt like a lapse of effort defensively.
Yeah.
And they got 2 goals in the last 2 minutes, and everyone at that point's like, what the heck just happened?
Yeah.
You know? But they came back and they did respond. And, you know, what a response at the end of the third. You know you need one.
Mm-hmm.
Or 2. You know you need 2. And they found a way. It took almost the whole period, but they still found a way.
Yeah. I mean, yes, they opened up the second period with a power play goal, right?
And why don't you talk about that? Talk about the power play.
I do. I want to keep talking, and I think it's until it's fixed, it's going to be a problem.
Well, I think they don't have the luxury.
Granted, there wasn't a lot of penalties in this game. It was overall pretty clean. I mean, obviously, besides some like chippiness and stuff in terms of like after the whistle.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you've got Maine with a tripping in the first, and then at the end you've got a holding call for Maine, and then you've got an interference call. But still, you know, in terms of and honestly, Maine's power play wasn't very efficient that game either. But you look at that, and it's one shot in all 3 of those power plays.
Yeah.
You know, and the next night, you know, it's still that recurring theme of like, if you were to be the coach, you know, this is what you're saying to your players. Right. It's like, we've got to be more efficient on the power play. Yeah. And I think that's probably the message that's going through. And I think that definitely this Bobcats team has to analyze who they're sending out there on the power play and how they're setting up. But I do think in watching that second game on the weekend, the power play looked good. And I even heard, it looked better. They took their time and they set it up. And they scored 2 power play goals. And I think that it was funny because I was working the camera that game, the main cam, and I heard behind me someone's like, oh, they figured out their power play. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, yes, but no.
It's got to be
You know
consistent.
what I mean?
It's got to be consistent.
It's got to get more consistent. And like I said last week, that's what's going to build your championship team. Is having a dangerous power play, because then players aren't going to want to take penalties on you. And if you can control that mental aspect of the game, like if a team knows that every time they take a penalty, 75% of the time that results in a goal, that's not an odd you want to take.
Yeah, it's a big weight. Now, I have some questions about the second game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, dominant 4-0 victory. There were a couple fights.
Yeah.
Loved it. Loved to see it as a fan. My question is, we saw Maine, 2 of their players were ejected. Now, from the fan point of view, usually when somebody gets ejected, you know, like it's pretty obvious what they did. But what were those ejections? So
that's a game guy with a game misconduct, a kneeing, and so the kneeing was he stuck his leg out.
Mm-hmm.
So knee-to-knee contact is that's a no-no.
Yeah,
because that could be career-ending.
Mm-hmm.
Knee-to-knee contact. And then, I mean, there was 2 actually.
Yeah,
Lipinski got a kneeing, and then
my thing was both of them were like, they didn't look egregious, but
it could be the game misconduct too. It depends on what they said. You know, It depends on, you know, is it intent to injure? I think the second one might have been. I can't fully remember. But
well, my thing is like they were legit calls, because both ejections they went back in and reviewed them on the monitor. So there had to have been legit calls there. It's just from our point of view.
I think that it's tough because being from the camera's perspective, you're focused on your job. So I was obviously focused on.
Yeah.
I was watching the game. I'm there. I see the goals. The goals show up. But I think that, and also having a background in hockey, I didn't know what was really there in terms of like throwing someone out. In that first one, I kind of got that one. But that second one, I didn't fully understand why he got taken out or thrown out of the game in that instance. But I definitely know in terms of like what was being said over the broadcast and over the comm system was that Maine's coach was obviously not happy throughout this entire weekend. And I think that in terms of reffing, there's definitely was some talk that we couldn't hear on the ice going back and forth between players because there always is.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So I think that that's something to look at. And I mean, hits after the whistle, a lot of slashing, a lot of just roughing sort of calls. But I think that was a pretty not typical game, but it was definitely one of those. It was definitely like this is the second game in a series sort of game.
And it made it fun for everyone to watch.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 3. As always, 3 great segments, 2 great hosts. See ya. Peace.